Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some
Nick
fun.
Collier here, and we're going to take this project. What's happened is all of a sudden I've gotten a bunch of work. So, you know, you go with the money, right? And this is eventually a money project, but not right now. Maybe sometime this autumn or something like that. And this, I was just kind of doing a little preemptive stuff. So we're going to put this on hold for the moment, and we're going to go on with one of the projects that I did for a guy with bronze, this 510 bronze, which is like working with 316 stainless. The stuff is tough. So hang in there. We're going to have some fun.
Okay, Nick Collier here again. We've got a interesting little project right at this point. Guy calls me up a couple months ago, actually. He's been working on this thing this whole time. Each stage it probably took a week. So eventually he sends me the part that needs to be machined. And I say, well, I can't really single point that. I mean, I could single point it, but probably cheaper in the long run to buy the tap, especially since he wanted to do 3 right hand and 3 left hand. And I said, yeah, cheaper to buy the tap. So he bought a couple of taps, and you know, that took a week. And then he bought the bronze, and you know, this is customer supplied materials, which is cool because I didn't have to do all of the research around this kind of bronze. And I can't remember what the number is, but it's like a really hard bronze. I mean, it took like probably 15 minutes to cut this little plug off the end with my big saw. And it just kind of sat there and ground away and ground away and ground away. And it was like, whoa, this stuff is tough. So anyhow, we're going to drill a hole through the center, run the tap through it. That's going to be our first stage. And as you can see, there's it looks to me like a feeding point where the oil comes in and it kind of just sits there in a pool. But I'm not absolutely sure. There's an oil hole here, and it connects to this oil hole here, which, you know, no big deal. And he said this was done by somebody else. So this is supposed to be a full round. And then we have to put the little nib out on the end. So I cut this thing about, I don't know, 1/4 inch too long, or maybe 3/16 long. And we're going to come in and find center, and then set up the center on the lathe and drill this thing out. You know what, actually, maybe just drill it out here on the mill. Do all of the mill work, or do it all in mill. Well, we're going to have to think about that. Well, for one, I want that tap to go straight through there, and I don't have the distance with the mill to go straight through. And if I grabbed it sideways, I could do that, but then, yeah, I think we'll have to use the lathe. Okay, so at this point, we're going to try to figure out how to find center on this plug so we can put it on the forejaw and grab it and center it up so that the hole is straight through and the hole is centered on the with the tailstock. So stick with me. We're going to have some fun. Okay, first thing we're going to do is drop a spacer in here, because we're going to drill all the way through, and I definitely don't want to hit my vise. So then drop that baby in. And then we want to measure from here to the center of the hole. And all we can kind of do is guess that center. So we're at, let me get some glasses here, because I can't see squat without them. All right. We are 1 inch, let's just say 60 thousandths. So half inch 30. Okay, so that gets us, let's make sure we're 1 inch 60. Yep. Okay, half inch 30. And then to the edge. And that's 340, 345, 875 to the center. From this machined edge, I went in and squared up this edge for me, for the customer, for whoever, and we're gonna put our, raise this up, put our edge finder in. Let's get you centered. There we go. And of course I forgot to write it down. So, what were we at? 875. Okay. And we kick there. Let's take it in 100. And that brings us to 0. Good, there's our reamer. There's our pin. We're going to come in one size under 5/16. And we're going to come in 875. Okay. Now we need to get this center, and we may as well just use the edge finder for that. Let's come back to 0. Okay. And go to 0 and then go over to the other side. and divide the DRO in half. And bring it back to 0. And there we are. Let's speed this thing up a little bit. I'm telling you, this stuff is tough. The drill bit that is usually no big deal going down inside of something is just hotter than a pistol, and it just heated this thing up almost that I can't touch it. We're going to put just a little bit of oil in there just as a coolant. All right. Well, you notice me saving all the little scraps here, and I don't know, brass isn't worth that much, but at the same time, my dad was a scrapper. He would buy old appliances and Coke machines and stuff like that, and strip them out and take the metal to the steel mill, and that's how he made his extra money. And not that I follow my dad's footsteps, but I realize as I get older I followed his footsteps more and more than I realized, and this was one of the places. It's a shame to just have this stuff go to waste, really, in a sense. So I saved the brass. I got cans and cans of brass laying around. All right, now let's slow it back down. Okay, so there's a hole, and a reasonably accurate one. Now let's slide this in and see if it's going to go smoothly. Nice. No wiggle. Perfect. Just what we want. Now, let's take this out
And we know this is center, and this is all the way down through the center. All right? Now, let's take it over to the lathe and center this part up. Okay, we got the dial indicator set up, and we're about 20 thousandths off. Pretty easy. Let's see here. Snug that down. All right, we're about 5 now. Now we're down to 3. Let's get these side ones tightened up. About 1.5 thou. Okay, about 1/2 thou. Take our pin out. Nice and tight. And we have one of these set up. Now what I want to do again, I want to catch all this bronze. But first we need to measure some and it looks like the larger diameter is right here. But that's not what we want. What we want is the small diameter, of course. And we're looking at 800 thousandths on the money. Yep, that's what I'm seeing. Okay. So we come in with a 3/4 drill bit. We got 50 thousandths to bore out. All right, here's how we worked it out. So we're out at the point here, which levers it out a ways, which means that this has got to be pretty accurate if this is going to be pretty straight. And we're within about 1/2 thou of that. Then we came in and spun it around and got these two surfaces to square up, and we're within about 1/2 thou there. 22 3/4 and 22 and 23 1/4. So 1/2 thou. So I think that's going to put us dead center. Now we take our pin out
and we're ready to rip. So the first thing I want to do is put a towel down. To catch all the scraps. And then let's get it come in with a 1/2 inch. You know what? I didn't make sure that everybody was tight. 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 Yep. Yep. Okay, we're good. 1/2 inch bit. And I'm going to run this pretty slow just to keep the chips from flying all around. Okay, maybe a little faster. Yeah, our drill bit's a little bit, it needs just a little bit of sharpening, at least on one side. Okay, we got our a little bit sharpened up. Let's see how it goes. Much better. Looks like we're getting pretty even curls. All right, well, we've got the hole drilled. Now we have to bore it. Let's get rid of some of these scraps. Okay, so now we've got the tap that we're going to run in here, but we need to have a little support for the back part here. So that's not going to be too much of a problem. Get ourselves a center in there. I think we'll be okay. And you probably can't see it, but I'm sliding the center into the back side of this. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we're going to bring this all the way forward so we can get the wrench on this. Oh, you're not going to see a thing. How's that? Better? That's better. We'll get that DRO out of the way. Alright, it seems like Tap Magic seems to work on this thing pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and use the Tap Magic. And a crescent wrench. Now the thing is, this thing's going to travel really fast. So I've got to keep my support in place. Oops. Let's get this thing. Ooh. That's tight. I'm telling you, this bronze is some tough ass shit. We may not be able to make this. Oops, hang on. I'm just doing the minor diameter of this shaft, and it's 25 under 800. There's 70. So let's just go 70, which is 30 thousandths under. Okay. All right, back to 0. And we're going to go, let's go 10 first, which is 20. Okay, so we're sitting at all right, let's give it another try. Well, if it doesn't work, get a bigger wrench, right? So we got the next size bigger. Oh, man. I don't know. Barely scratched the surface. You know what? I think we're going to have to go in and single point this. Single point it first, and then come in and chase it with the tap, because this bronze is like insanely hard. I mean, it scored it, but I mean just barely. We didn't even get 2 full turns in. All right, we're going to go see if we can come up with a bit to single point this, and we'll get close to where we want to go, and then go in with the with the tap and chase it out. It's the only thing I can do with this bronze. I've never seen such hard material. So we'll be back in a minute.